It happens without warning. You're in a meeting, at a dinner table, in front of someone who matters, and something small occurs. A comment, a look, a single moment where the world doesn't reflect back the person you've been performing as, and you feel it before you understand it. A crack, a fracture, the mask slips. For a moment, everyone sees who you actually are. Carl Jung understood that the persona isn't just a social tool. It's a survival mechanism. You wear it because the real you isn't safe. The real you is too much, too needy, too angry, too weak, too selfish, too human. So you built someone else, someone acceptable, someone controlled. And for years, sometimes decades, the performance holds until it doesn't. The breaking point comes when reality collides with the persona in a way the persona can't absorb. You planned your entire life around being the reliable one, and suddenly you can't show up. You've built your identity on being strong, and suddenly you're devastated. You've convinced everyone you're happy, and suddenly someone asks if you actually are. The persona shatters because reality broke its rules, and in that moment, something emerges that you've spent your whole life keeping hidden. A man I know built his entire identity on being the provider, the capable one, the one who handles everything. His persona was invincible. For 20 years, it held. His family believed it. His colleagues believed it. He believed it. Then the company collapsed, and he couldn't find work that matched his identity. For months, he was invisible, not unemployed, invisible. The persona that defined him ceased to exist because the external circumstances that fed it were gone. And then one day his teenage daughter asked him a simple question. "Dad, what do you actually want?" He broke completely, because underneath the persona of provider was a person who had never asked himself that question. The shadow underneath had been waiting for 20 years. It came out as rage, then despair, then finally, slowly, as something real. He met himself for the first time in 2 decades, and he didn't recognize who he met. This is what Jung meant by the unconscious mind. It's not hidden because it's far away. It's hidden because you actively hide it. And the hiding takes constant work. The persona requires continuous maintenance. You have to keep performing. You have to keep the narrative intact. You have to keep reality aligned with your story about yourself. The moment you stop, or the moment reality forces you to stop, the persona collapses. What emerges isn't evil. It's just what you've disowned. The ambition you said you didn't have. The neediness you said you'd outgrown. The desires you said you'd mastered. The fear you said you'd conquered. All of it was still there, waiting underneath, growing stronger because it was denied. Jung saw something in his patients that most therapists don't talk about. The persona breaks hardest in the moments when you're most invested in it. The person who's built an identity around being happy breaks when they finally admit they're not. The person who's built an identity around being in control breaks when they realize they never were. The person who's built an identity around being wanted breaks when they're alone. The breaking point isn't random. It's the point where the gap between persona and reality becomes so large that the mind can no longer hold both versions of the story simultaneously. And in that gap, the shadow rises. What's terrifying about the shadow isn't that it's evil. It's that it's honest. The persona lies. It says you're fine when you're not. It says you don't need when you do. It says you're okay with things you're enraged about. The shadow, on the other hand, tells the truth. It feels what you actually feel. It wants what you actually want. And when it emerges, it shatters the carefully constructed narrative of the persona. Most people respond to this breaking by rebuilding stronger persona, better boundaries, more control, a new story to replace the one that shattered. They don't integrate the shadow. They just repress it harder. They've learned that the persona isn't strong enough, so they make it impenetrable. They become more defended, more guarded, more committed to the performance. This is why some people get harder as they get older, not softer. They're not growing. They're calcifying. They're responding to each persona break by building a thicker wall. But there's another path. Jung called it individuation. It's the process of becoming whole by integrating what you've disowned. It's not about becoming a better version of your persona. It's about stopping the performance entirely and meeting the actual self underneath. This is incomprehensibly difficult because it means admitting that everything you've built your identity on might be false. It means grieving the person you thought you were. It means accepting that you're capable of things you swore you weren't capable of. It means becoming smaller in some ways and larger in others. It means losing the coherent story about yourself and accepting contradiction instead. The moment the persona breaks is actually an invitation. It's the unconscious mind saying, stop performing. This isn't working anymore. Come meet yourself. But most people hear it as, you failed. You're exposed. You need a better mask. They don't realize that the breaking is the only honest moment they'll ever have. When you're in that moment, when the persona has shattered and you're standing in front of people and they can actually see you, there's a choice. You can either frantically rebuild the mask, or you can stay present in the vulnerability. You can let them see who you actually are instead of who you've been performing as. This is terrifying. It's also the only moment real connection becomes possible, because everyone around you is performing too. They're all wearing personas. They're all hiding shadows. And the moment one person stops performing, it becomes possible for others to stop as well. The moment you admit you're struggling, the person next to you can admit it too. The moment you acknowledge your fear, someone else's fear becomes real. The moment you stop pretending, the entire system of mutual pretending breaks down. But most people can't do this. The moment of breaking terrifies them so much that they immediately rebuild. They apologize for showing vulnerability. They explain it away. They reconstruct the persona while it's still in pieces. They're not strong enough to stay in the breaking. They don't know how to live without the mask. You understood that this is the price of becoming yourself. You have to be willing to break publicly. You have to be willing to let people see you're not what you pretended to be. You have to be willing to lose the identity you built, because that identity was a cage. You have to be willing to become someone smaller and larger simultaneously. Smaller because you're no longer performing magnificence. Larger because you're actually whole for the first time. The moment your persona breaks is the moment you're finally honest about yourself. And that honesty is the only ground real growth can be built on. Everything before that moment was performance. Everything after is actual becoming. The breaking isn't a failure. It's the only real beginning there is.